Welcome back to Everything Whiskey. I'm Callum.
I'm Sam.
And today we're having a look at our top 5 bourbons of 2020. We should probably say this is fairly subjective before we jump into it.
Yeah, I think that is always going to be a preface for all these kinds of videos, even reviews. Like,
Yeah.
this is our interpretation, this is what we think. If you disagree, 100% that's your prerogative. Especially this video, like, you're going to find that most of these are high proof. If you're not into that, I think they are. I think like all but one. So take that with a grain of salt, knowing that, not with a grain of salt, but take that into account when you're looking at it, that this, you're not automatically going to like this because we do. Anyway, so with that over with, we'll jump into the first one. I'll grab it because it's on my side. It's on Russell Single Barrel. Now, Russell Single Barrel was, I don't even know, it was a surprise to us. We bought that and the Wild Turkey Rare Breed, which is a bit of a spoiler for another one in this lineup. They're both from, anyway, so Russell's Reserve is from Eddie Russell, Wild Turkey, Master Distiller.
Yep.
And I think you definitely see the Wild Turkey in it.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, like I feel like you can see the similarities.
They're the same kind of mash bill, aren't they? To be
I think they're similar.
Yeah.
This one I feel like there's a bit more rye than maybe the Rare Breed. It's a bunch of, I don't know, super quintessential bourbon notes, but they're cranked up, and there's a bit more herbal notes going on in it as well.
Yeah.
A bit more wood bitters, but super like nice and sweet, cherry, like just a bunch of beautiful notes. And I think we should probably tell you how much the proof is. It's 55%, non-chill filtered, single barrel. And for that proof and for single barrel, getting it for about 80 to 100 bucks in Australia is pretty damn good. You can get it from about 85 from Nick's.
Yeah.
Your local places like Celebrations and stuff might have it for 90, even 100. But even still, I've like bought it at that price and I don't mind it at all. Like, I don't mind paying that because I know I like it.
Yeah.
This one was a big surprise to us because we bought it on a whim and we hadn't really heard of Russell's. We didn't know its connection to Wild Turkey. So this one is definitely in our top 5. This is in no order, by the way. It's just, top 5.
So Wild Turkey Rare Breed, obviously same kind of stuff as the Russells. This, how does it differentiate in terms of percentage?
This is more.
This is 58.4. And as we said before, we bought this at the exact same time. I bought this sample, that one.
Yeah.
Still to this time, well, still to this day, I'd probably say, I still prefer the Rare Breed. Both are nice.
Yeah. We're both like, he's the lion, and I'm on the Russell side just, and you're on the Rare Breed just.
Yeah.
They're very close. They're very good whiskeys.
I love these whiskeys.
They're very similar.
They're from the same bloody Jimmy.
Yeah.
Are they Jimmy Russell?
Yeah, they're both Jimmy Russell. Yeah. But I think some of the key differences I'd say for us are the cherry sweetness you get from the Rare Breed. There's more cherry in the Rare Breed.
I find it a little bit more rich as well. In terms of all the flavors, a little bit more.
It's thicker. Yeah.
Thicker, richer.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Yeah. The Russell's is sufficiently dense and rich, but it's also a bit more herbal,
for sure.
Spicy maybe.
Yeah.
Not a massive difference though. If you like one, you'll probably like the other. They're around the same price point in Australia. You can get it from about $90, $100. We want to try, what's the other, the Spirit one, Kentucky Spirit?
I want to try that.
Yeah. I think it's like a very select few barrels out of the 101, and they're bottled in a similar style to the Rare Breed. We want to try that next.
Running off
that. Just running, these are all accidental segues, but brilliant. The next one is 101.
As you can see, we love Wild Turkeys.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like that's something.
All of their releases.
Oh, Jesus. I don't much left in this one.
They can't, I don't know, they just don't know how to go.
The only one we've not really been.
I'm gonna get this.
Yeah, you pour some of that. I'm still on Rowans Creek, which is another great bourbon.
I love the bourbons.
This is our top 10, not top 5, isn't it?
Top 5.
Is it?
Or it's top 10. We're doing 10 bourbons or 5 bourbons? Top 10.
This is top 10. I just realised we keep mixing it up at the start, but no, this is top 10. We're going all in on this one because there's been a lot of nice bourbons. We didn't want to leave any out.
Yeah.
Wild Turkey 101, and you're drinking it, so you can give the notes. But this one again, it's Eddie Russell. It's just their distillery. I don't know why, but it's really rung with us. It's really been popular for us this year, and especially the 101 has been popular, I think, in the whiskey community altogether. Like, if you're part of Whiskey Tribe, Whiskey Vault kind of people, you'll know that most bourbon lovers in those groups are very fond of Wild Turkey for its complexity and flavour and affordability. Like, this is 50%, hence the 10, it's 50.1, hence the, no, 50.5, hence the 101 proof. Proof is just double ABV.
Yeah.
And I think it's about 7 years old. I think it can range. I'm not really sure, but it's a nice.
So good.
It's a really nice bourbon. It's complex, but it's friendly. It's affordable. You can get it for about $60-$70 in Australia. It's just a really good go-to bourbon. I rarely don't have this. It's always around for both of us.
It's got the classic bourbon notes, bit of vanilla, touch of molasses, just a little bit, caramel. All the bourbon notes. A little bit banana from the barrel bitterness. I can never say that word.
There's like red apples and
so
light cinnamon and stuff.
Heaps of spices.
Yeah.
A little bit of fruit. Perfect bourbon. Perfect price.
Yeah, it's just really hard to mess up on this one.
This is why I want a Kentucky Spirit, because they can only improve on it, surely.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to know what it would be like at an even higher proof. I think it's even higher. Not sure, but it might be. But yeah, so we're 3 for 3 with Wild Turkey at the moment.
What's the next on the list? I can't even remember.
So I think we're just... I don't really mind. I was reading off our list, but it's not in really any order, so I don't mind. I'm not going to go with the one I want, because we're going to name at the end our number one favourite. Alright? Just brought this up now. We haven't previously talked about this. I want to bring up our favourite one out of all of them for each of us at the end.
Yep.
I think we should go Rowans Creek next, because I've already got Rowans in here and it's right next to me. So
no worries.
Rowans Creek. Rowans Creek is I think it was like a 9-year-old bourbon. This was something we hadn't heard of. This was a distillery we hadn't heard of. This was a bottling we hadn't heard of. It's 50.5%. It's the exact same as 101. It's Kentucky, Rowans Creek Distillery in Bardstown, Kentucky. Now this one caught us by surprise because
I bought this on a whim.
You bought this on a whim, and it was a risky one too, because it was $125. So it's not cheap, but so it was a bit of a risk because we didn't know if we would like it, because we hadn't even heard of it.
Yeah.
But it arrived, and what you had it and you loved it.
I loved it. It's kind of like a wine finish. It's really weird. I don't think it's finished in anything, but it's not. I don't know if it's like
it's this strange, like, kind of red wine barrel.
What's the word? Is it placebo?
It might be placebo.
It's in a wine bottle.
Well, it's not. Yeah, maybe.
So maybe it's the placebo of it being in a wine bottle that it has like a wine kind of finish towards it. I love this whiskey. It has the classic bourbon notes. Kind of similar to the 101 in terms of notes, but in terms of finish, it's more rounded and more goes towards the wine kind of route.
That might totally just be psychosomatic because it's in like a wine
bottle.
But I genuinely do get more kind of like rich, dark fruit kind of notes on the end.
Yeah.
It's quite thick and sweet. I think it's a fantastic bourbon if you've not tried it. And I think a lot of people in Australia especially haven't tried it. I don't know about the popularity in America, but I haven't seen much of it. But it's just really good. It's really regular bourbon for the most part, but then that kind of like mid-range, there's just this deep kind of like dark, maybe raisin, almost like dried dates. That port kind of like dark, overly ripe fruit kind of finish, a bit of in between that and a kind of red wininess. But it's beautiful. We love this one. So that's why that made it on our list, because it's unique.
Yeah.
It's not super affordable, but I think it's worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, as long as you still don't drink it too quickly, I think it's worth it.
What's the next whiskey?
Alright, we're moving on to Woodford Reserve 00.
Woodford Reserve 00. This was in one of the later episodes.
A Christmas list.
Yeah, Christmas list. Oh, I think put it right back up here in the same spot.
Running out of shelving space. We need to go lower because we'll be up all the top. Now, Woodford Reserve Double Oak was again a bit of like we bought it on a whim, but we already at least knew we liked Woodford Reserve. It's a very run-of-the-mill, great bourbon for a good price, about $60 for Woodford Reserve, except with a touch more kind of herbal spice, the tea notes cranked up a little bit.
Yeah.
Makes it a bit more complex, and it's great. The Double Oak, though, we were not expecting to respond the way we did. We were expecting, because of the extra age in new oak barrels that it spends its time in, we were expecting more bitterness and herbal notes. Complete opposite for us, at least. It was like it had been aged in a barrel made of brown sugar and cream or something. It's just like creme brulee. And
it just sanded in all those rough edges, and
it's beautiful, but it's like dessert. It's apple pie, creme brulee. It's amazing. So much brown sugar in this one.
It's kind of like Rowans, but Rowans is more alcoholic in terms of the.
Yeah, it's still only, what is it? It's 40.
Yeah, it's only 40% or something.
Is it still only 40? It's 43.2%. So it's barely past 40.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna really, you're not gonna really notice much in the heat in the alcohol percentage between this and the regular Woodford. But I know that I didn't notice any, I guess you call it publicity, any chatter about double oaked in the whiskey community until this year. So I don't know if there's anything particular about this batch that is, sought after, that is, what people are really reacting to. But I did notice this year that quite a few people have talked about the double oak. So it might be this batch, it might be people are only noticing now. But I would get your hands on something in 2020 if you can, on one of these in 2020, because it was just beautiful. Dessert.
I also like how their bottle was designed. I don't know if this was intentionally designed like this, but it's like Woodford Reserve's more rounded. I mean, Woodford Reserve Double Oak's more rounded, and the bottle itself is actually more rounded
and thicker. It's like exactly how the actual differences between the whiskies. Yeah. No, it's very good. I think that's one you should really pick up because it's not too expensive either. You can probably get this one for an extra $10-$20 on top of the regular.
And it's definitely worth that $10-$20.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, so Elijah Creek.
You're very fond of this one, aren't you?
It's been a while since I've tried it, but when I was drinking it a month ago, before we finished it, love this bourbon. Bought this when I wasn't even in the bourbon stage.
Yeah. Quite a while ago, wasn't it? Like it was a fair while. You tried it, I tried it, weren't too into it.
Yeah.
Put it down, came back,
and now
I'm really quite fond of it. Now for me, I get a big old handful of peanuts from this, and that's not bad. Like it's fine, but it's just funny because every time I pick it up, I'm like peanuts,
yeah, I get
salted peanuts,
well,
and you're just like, what are you talking about? It's not that strong with peanuts, but every time like you get the peanut note, but I'm overwhelmed by peanuts for some reason from it. I get it so prominently, but it's a great bourbon.
I just get the classic bourbon notes from it. I don't know if I'm boring with bourbon because I just pull the same kind of notes from it, from every single different type.
Yeah.
But I mean,
we've been into bourbon a lot less time than we've been into Scotch though. We're pretty new to bourbon.
But I just get dark, rich flavors from it.
47. Yeah, it's 47% ABV, so it's got some kick to it. It's not.
They're not that cranked as compared to the Wild Turkey or anything like that, but they're still there. It doesn't lack in flavour.
No.
It doesn't lack in the nose. I think it's one of the classic bourbons over in America.
Yeah, I think it's quite popular. I'd say it's very typical of a bourbon, except I think it's a bit drier. The finish is a bit drier. It's not as sweet. It's got some more savoury, nutty notes going on.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's fantastic. It was a really big surprise to us this year. Probably because of our first experience of not really enjoying it. But we love it.
Buffalo Trace, a classic bourbon.
This one is not our favourite out of the bunch. I'd put this down the bottom of our top 10, but it is still a very good bourbon that we've come to like a lot. It's 40%, it's $60, which is affordable in Australia. It is probably the most approachable out of all of them, even more so than the Woodford Double Oaked, I'd say. I think because it's got some candy sweetness to it. It's lolly sweet. It's got some candy fruitiness to it. Along like the apple notes you get in bourbon. It's apple, but it's in Buffalo Trace. It's like lolly, flavoring of apple. It's very sweet. It's a tad thin, but it's still a great, addition to your bourbon lineup. Sure. I don't think that anyone would complain. I know that bizarrely there's like supply issues in parts of America with Buffalo Trace, like Blanton's, even though Australia has perfect supply of Buffalo Trace and Blanton's as well. So it doesn't make much sense, but I think it is one of the ones where people, some areas, some states kind of have a bit of issue finding. But so I wouldn't suggest paying any sort of premium for it, because it is very stock standard, but it is very nice. So if
it's
you
only
find
40%,
it,
I think, isn't it?
yeah, it's only 40%. But if you find it for RRP,
Pause myself doing.
Then yeah, definitely go for it then. But don't pay a premium just because it's rare in your county or whatever. It's not worth it. The next distillery, next company we're doing is Maker's Mark Cask Strength, which is
right.
Now, this one wasn't a cheap one, but boy, it blew our socks off. It was really nice. It's cask strength. It's quite hard to get in Australia. It's 55 or 54.5%. And it is like the regular Maker's Mark, but just dialed up to 100 in regards to like intensity, but the strength of the flavors, like except with a lot more cherry and none of that weird kind of dustiness that the Maker's Mark has. Like it loses those weak dusty notes, kind of metallic notes, and gains all these strong dark fruity notes. And
the normal Maker's has like a candied fruit.
Yeah,
whereas this has like an actual rich dark.
It's
dark. Everything is.
This one was amazing for us, but it is about $150 in Australia, so it's not cheap. You can find it often for like $125 on somewhere like Nick's Wine Merchants, but
I'm gonna have to buy a bottle next time it comes out.
Yeah,
because
it is very good when you can find it, but it is pricey. But
flavor
is just to try it once, especially if you're a Maker's Mark fan. Like
blows normal Makers out of the water.
Yeah, it really does. I think if you're a fan of Maker's Mark and you want to try something with a decent amount more kick, that's the one to go for, because it's Maker's, but it's just like they grabbed a dial and twisted it off and threw it in the pond. It's a great one. Booker's.
This will be on Booker's is up here. Extremely hard to get
in Australia,
not affordable in Australia.
No.
But
same price as Maker's. It's probably the same kind of scenario as Maker's. In regards to finding as well. Like, actually, I think Booker's is even harder, to be honest, than the Maker's Cask Strength.
Sure.
Booker's is the top rung of the the Jim Beam wine, the Booker's, Baker's, Basil Creek, Knob, Basil Hayden's and Knob Creek. And Booker's is definitely my favourite. I think it's the most complexity, it's the most intense, and I'm a big fan of that with bourbons.
Yeah.
It's pretty stock standard in regards to flavor profile. Like, it's a bourbon. It's definitely bourbon. It's not like doing anything weird. There's some more. I've gotten like green tea and stuff from it as well. Some black teas. There's some more herbal notes, but it's pretty. It rings pretty true. I think we actually, before the camera died, we spoke a bit about the Bookers. But yeah, I was going to pour myself a glass, but I think we're going to savour it because it is quite hard to get in Australia. It's about $150. I got this one on special, like $120 or something.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time it's going to be around $150. I think we gave some notes. It's just kind of like a run-of-the-mill bourbon, but flavours cranked up.
It's
a bit more, herbal spiciness going on, but fantastic bourbon. Yeah. Anyway. So
I think it's like kind of like rare breed, cranked up a bit more.
I'd say it's a bit more similar to the single black Russell Single Barrel than the rare breed. I think the rare breed's got too much like cherry sweetness. Yeah,
it's nice either way.
Yeah,
we love it. Wish it was more accessible, more affordable in Australia. If it was, it would definitely always be on my bar cart.
Yeah, definitely. Booker's would be 100% if it was more available. But that's why we want to savor it, I guess. Last one. I've left this one for last because it is my personal favorite of the year. And it's not technically a bourbon.
Oh yeah, I just remember what it was.
It's not technically a bourbon.
Depends how technically you want to go though.
It's corn whiskey. It's basically a bourbon, but it's corn whiskey. It's from Balcones, Texas distillery. They're doing really cool things. This is the Brimstone, which is smoked actual over the whiskey itself instead of the grain. They smoke the whiskey itself with scrub oak, and this was just so unique to me. This one is my favorite of the year. Just because of how unique it was. It's got so much like character and bizarre notes. Like in our review, we called it the Lafroig of Texas.
Yeah.
Because it is like very unique in that way. Like it's got, for me, it's like melted crayon, like a tire bonfire. It's got like the scrub oak, but that's kind of light. It's more just it's got some barbecue notes. It's got that sweet corn note. It's just, I don't know, I loved it. Oh, it's so good. I love this whiskey so much.
It's hard to explain how it is though.
Yeah, you kind of need to just try it.
It's literally like burning tires.
Yeah, it's
and I think it threw me. I had to be in the mood.
It's really sweet as well though. Like there's that burnt brown sugar on it as well.
I mean, it's corn, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
so that's why it's so sweet. But I mean, for me, I had to be in that mood.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you have to be in the mood for Isla.
Yeah.
I had to be in the mood
I
for
agree
this.
with that.
For me personally, it was just too, I don't know, like, not gritty, but it was too like meaty, too heavy, not so much like smoky, but yeah, medicinal. It was just too, I'm going to use the term heavy because it's just understandable. It was too heavy for me in terms of like an everyday
And you're pretty recently into bourbon, so this is like an extension away from that as well. Like it's an extension past just regular bourbon. So they're notes that you and me have not really encountered before. So there's definitely going to be that barrier you have to get through.
Yeah.
But what was your favorite this year?
I would personally go for the Rare Breed.
Yeah, I knew this would be because I bought Rare Breed a couple times. It was 2 times, and then you bought this one time. And the 2 times I bought it, you weren't into bourbon yet. But when you bought it, you were blown away by it. You loved it. You drank that bottle so quickly. It was so good. And I agree, it's a fantastic bourbon, and it's always like consistent. Like it's just a good distillery. Wild Turkey is really, and Balcones, but predominantly Wild Turkey is very much in our focus at the moment because we seem to enjoy pretty much everything they do.
Yeah.
Except the Long Branch, Matthew McConaughey, sorry. Like we didn't mind it, it was just, it lacked character for us. Like it was lacking, it was a bit thin. I don't know, we need to revisit it because we didn't really...
It's kind of like how Buffalo Trace is now for me. It's a bit thin, bit not so much lackluster, but it's kind of it just feels like it's missing something.
Yeah.
If it was cranked up a little bit in terms of alcohol, like maybe up to like 45, maybe even 50, I reckon it would be up there.
This has got so much burn for, no, it's 53.
It's up there.
But it's not like, this has got like a, almost 60% burn for me. It's nice. I know.
Smell on your breath.
It's a unique, beautiful wild rye. Anyway, that is our top 10 bourbons of 2020 for us. I'm sure yours is different, and that's perfectly fine. Let us know what you think, if maybe we left something out that we definitely or sure we should have, kept in, and maybe something you really don't think we should have included. Let us know. Anyway, if you liked it, leave us a like. If you want to see future episodes from us, consider hitting that subscribe button. If you do, we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.